lectures. And before I get into this very important lecture, I just want to take a moment to thank all of my supporters and everyone for supporting my YouTube channel. You know, my channel is June of this year. My YouTube channel will be 6 years old. My channel is close to being 4 years being monetized. So I just want to just take a moment to thank everyone for supporting my channel. My channel will not be where it's at today without all of my supporters. So with that being said, let's get on down to today's very important lecture, which is insight into filing your personal and business taxes. You know, I've done lectures like this before throughout the years, and I just say one thing, a powerful thing is, you know, it is so much power going ahead and just paying the extra money to have a certified public accountant to do your personal and business taxes. I've been using a CPA for well over 26 years, but at the same time, you know, I'm going to have working knowledge in terms of what's going on behind the scene with my personal and business taxes. And it's power in that. Go ahead and use the CPA. You know, when you find a good CPA, they're gonna explain everything to you. You know, my personal and business taxes have already been filed by a certified public accountant that came highly recommended. I'm new in this area, so I was so impressed. You know, and at the end when they do their job, they're gonna explain everything to you. You can use them to consult throughout the year. But the number one insight, and I'm going to literally just present my own information in general terms, in terms of what you still need to do behind the scene. It does not matter if you are aligning yourself with the CPA. I have always get all my stuff ready. I'm labeling everything. Thing that your CPA is going to need is they're going to need, and I have everything in separate folders. Your CPA is going to need evidence of all of your applicable 1099s or 1095. They're going to need all of that and put all this in a folder. They're going to need all of that. Your 1095s, they're going to need evidence of your health insurance. By me being a veteran, I got a copy of my health insurance information as a veteran. They're going to need I'll put all this like in one folder. That CPA is going to need all of your applicable W-2 forms, if applicable. They're going to need your 1099 from YouTube because, you know, by me being a monetized content creator, my channel has been monetized now for almost 4 years. You know, at the end of the year, YouTube will send you a 1099 to reflect the amount of revenue you made throughout the year. So your CPA is going to need to see that 1099. You know, a lot of content creators get in a lot of trouble with the federal government because they're not filing that 1099. They're not claiming that revenue. They're going to need to see all of your 1099s. You know, the revenue, one of my 1099s came from my publishing company to reflect how much money I made for the whole year in reference to the sales of my book. So I made sure anything in terms of your financial portfolio, they're going to need to see that information. They're going to need to see that 1099 on your dividends, in reference to your portfolio. All of that needs to be in a folder. All of those 1099s and showing income, your 1099s in relation to your pension. You know, I get a couple of pensions, you know, from state government, from the VA, etc. Although my military pension is non-taxable income, but I still put that in there. So when you're preparing everything for your CPA, have all of those applicable 1099s on your portfolio, your anything applicable, have that in a separate folder labeled for your CPA. Another folder that you need to be ready to have turn in to your CPA, which I always do, and it helps me. I also get a folder with printouts in relation to all of my banking statements in alphabetical order, month by month. So all of my bank statements, and the reason why I turn this over to my CPA, because I go through my bank statements and I highlight anything that's in my statement that's applicable for tax purposes. So I don't have to try to remember all this. I don't have to try to keep up with all of these receipts. So your CPA, I'm going to turn over my banking statements in a separate folder applicable to each bank month by month, turn that over to my CPA with notes within that. And that also helps me. You know, your bank statement transactions is also evidence of receipts when you're claiming something of in terms of an expense in relation to your company. You know, although I'm retired, the last 25 years of my working history, I'll have my LLC, I have my company simultaneously all while I was in the workforce. So when I retired, I'm still generating revenue under my company. So my bank statements help me give a clear transaction of anything that I spent in relation to my business that is a business write-off. So I'm giving my CPA all of my bank statements in a separate folder, month by month, with little notes attached to it. And, you know, my CPA, which is our new CPA I got for this year, because I'm new in this area, but she was so impressed with my organization and all of the preparation that I did in relation to my business and personal taxes. You know, that really makes her job easier, and it also decreases the bill because that CPA is not spending a whole lot of time figuring out mess. So she's got all of my bank statements for 2025, all in order with little notes on it. And I literally put on the front copy on one of my folders the highlighted and number area throughout all of my bank statements match the applicable folder regarding the transaction. So this is a powerful record, and that I've always done this for well over 26 years. And then another important folder that you need to give your CPA that I do is the amount of money that I spent towards my personal and business taxes for the year of 2020 spent for last year is a tax write-off for this year. So the money I paid my CPA last year was a tax write-off this year. So I had to turn that folder in with evidence append because that's considered a business expense. So she's going to get that folder, people. Just like the money to have my personal and business taxes done this year, I save that receipt and turn it over to next year as a business write-off when that same CPA is going to do my personal and business taxes. Also, since this was a new CPA this year, and also when you are preparing your information, make sure, especially if it's a new CPA, a reputable CPA, they're going to always ask, also turn over your tax information for the past 3 prior years so they can also see what's going on, which I did all that. So when I turn all my stuff in, I also turned my income tax information in for 2022, 2023, and 2024. And that's a good reflection on me because I'm military. I believe I've been organized all my life. Another powerful folder that I had to give my CPA is information on my company, Patterson Associates Resource Center, in relation to the primary services, one of the primary services that I do. And one of the primary services that I do under my company that I've been doing for over 25 years is I still maintain all of my licensure as a licensed clinical addiction expert. So one of the services I do, I'm a SAP DOT evaluator. So when those truckers fail those drug screens, their company refer them to me, and I have to go in and do a substance abuse evaluation and recommendation. And so I do a lot of marketing in relation to that service that I've been doing for the past 25 years. So I wanted my new CPA to have evidence of what I do under my company, Patterson Associates Resource Center, which is very, very powerful. Another document that I gave my CPA is I gave her the amount of money that I spend to pay for professional liability insurance to protect my credential. The amount of money I pay for that professional liability insurance, I wanted her to see that in this folder also. So she got that folder. And I'm telling you, hire the experts. Hire a certified public accountant. They have a credential. They answer to a credentialing board. They have to carry professional liability insurance. They don't just do personal and business taxes. They're doing business accounting. You can use them as a resource for questions throughout the year. Another powerful folder that I gave my accountant in a folder label is more information in relation to my company, Patterson Associates Resource Center, in relation to the totality of my revenue I made in 2025 under my company. Like I said, the primary service under my company is that DOT evaluator. That's primary. I've been doing that for 26 years. Another secondary service under my company, of course, I'm a YouTube content creator. I created my YouTube channel under my company, but make no mistake, my company been around long before YouTube. I've been generating revenue under my company long before I became a content creator, but I wanted her to see all of the services. A third service that I provide is a product. My book, Awake Financial Freedom, my publishing company, hands are still on that book. So I made sure my CPA got the 1099 in relation to my revenue for my publishing company to reflect for 2025. And then there's a fourth service that I'm in the process of getting ready to provide under my company that I'm behind the scene getting some policies and procedures are ready. I live on about 15 acres of land, and I'm going to generate revenue off my property by charging people to hunt and camp on my land. So that's in the works. But I still wanted her to see that in relation to the 4 areas under my company where I'm generating revenue in retirement, people. In retirement. I fully retired from state of North Carolina September of 2023. So September of 2026 will make 3 full years I've been in full retirement. But I have always had the mindset all my life, even when I was in the military. I have always had the mindset, it don't matter if you have that primary career day job. For the past 25 years of the last 25 years of my working life, I created my company, Patterson Associates Resource Center. So I was still going to work every day, but outside of that day job, I was making money and generating money under my company by utilizing my licensed clinical addiction expert credential in providing substance abuse services and clinical evaluation. So now, since I'm retired, I still got my credentials. My credentials, I answer to the board. So now, since I'm fully retired, I continue to make money under my company, and it's power, people, in having multiple streams of income. But it's also power when you can strike a balance and you still got your day job where you got your 401, your retirement and all of that, but don't forget or negate the fight to empower yourself outside of that day job. Another folder that your CPA is going to get in relation to your personal and business taxes. My Google, the money I paid towards YouTube advertising, I spent a lot of money on marketing. I spent a lot of money on marketing my book. I spent a lot of money on marketing services under my company. So all of the money that I paid for my Google advertising and marketing, I gave my CPA a printout of all of those receipts. You can go into your Google account and it'll print out all of your statements in relation to money you spent on advertising. So my CPA got a copy of all of those statements in a folder labeled that is considered a business write-off. Another folder that I gave her also to reflect A business write-off when I had the money I paid to renew my contractual agreement with Page Publishing Company. You know, they manage the sales of my book, they track sales and all of that. So every 2 years I have to renew my contract with that publishing company. So the money I spent on contract renewal with my publishing company is a business write-off, it's a business expense. So I made sure my CPA got a folder on that. Also, another business expense calls out of my home office. The money I spent on my camper in 2025, and I also utilized my camper on my property as a home office. So the money I spent in relation to the purchase, all of that information is in a folder. That's a business write-off. I turn over to my certified public accountant. And this is more information in relation to the money I spent on that camper that I utilize as an office on my property. I turned that over to my certified public accountant. You leave no stone unturned in relation to filing your personal and business taxes. I'm going to say this again because it's power when you use that certified public accountant. Number one, they don't just know accounting. They have a degree as a certified public accountant. They have taken an exam, a certified public accountant exam, and they have to answer to a board. They have to have re-credentialing training throughout the year, and they do stuff throughout the year versus, you know, going to these H&R blocks or just hiring a tax preparer. No, I have always known the power in aligning myself with certified public accountants with the credibility and the reputation. Another folder that I gave accountant when I filed for my personal and business taxes, any money that I spent on property tax at the per year, because if my home office is on my property, then the money I spend on property tax, a percentage of that is going to be business write-off. So my CPA got a copy of that in a folder. Another business expense I think a lot of people overlook is any money that you pay in taxes, like that you pay federal, any kind of federal or state tax. You turn around and save that information because a percentage of that would be a business write-off for the next year. So my accountant got all of that information. Post office, any money you spend at the post office, UPS and all of that, you know, have all the evidence in there, label in a folder. I turn all that over to my CPA as a business write-off. If you got car insurance, if you got a vehicle, 9 times out of 10, you're going to pay car insurance. So when you're in business, when you're interfacing with stakeholders, sometimes you have to go to stakeholders meetings, meaning you're using your car. So the money I spend on car insurance, I have all that information in the folder with the evidence, which will part of that will be a business write-off. I turned that over to my CPA. With car insurance comes your motor vehicle registration. So the money, a percentage of the money I spend on motor vehicle registration, all of that information is going to be in there. So I'm going to turn that over to my certified public accountant. I'm telling you, people, you know, I spend a lot of time, first of all, gathering my data, organizing my data, labeling my data, going through it so I can have working knowledge. So when I'm interfacing with my CPA, we're about discussing and dialoguing, make sure I'm clear on everything. And I'm also empowering myself by having working knowledge in relation to my personal and business taxes. But on the flip side, I'm going to also have enough wisdom to align myself with a very good CPA. I'm going to have enough wisdom to align myself with a very good financial advisor. So that will free me up so I can focus on ongoing cultivating and developing and nurturing my company, Patterson Associates Resource Center, to continue to generate revenue in retirement. I tell people, don't try to have your hands on everything. Let the experts do what they do. You know, in any good financial advisor and any good CPA, they're going to be so closely aligned with you in dropping that wisdom. It's a shared journey. Real talk, people. Take your hands off things that you really don't have the expertise in. It's okay to have working knowledge on finances in your financial portfolio and individual taxes and personal taxes and insight and working knowledge, but go ahead and pay the experts to manage that. I've done that for the past 25 years of being in business, and what that does, free me up to continue to develop and to cultivate and to nurture my company. Another folder that my CPA got with all of the information is all of the money I spent for the year of 2025 on car expense, car maintenance, AutoZone, all of that. I had to get a new car because my car was totaled. Well, not a new car, but a used car. But my car was totaled, so I had to get another car because only insurance is only going to pay you so much. So all of the money in relation to all that information was in here, which a percentage of that would be a business write-off. And I'm here to tell you is power when you keep such excellent records that it makes your CPA job real easy. Also, another folder that I turned over to my CPA is especially if you got a home office, is any money that you spent on your power bill, your energy bill for the year of 2025, turn all the information over to your CPA. A percentage of that light bill would be a 100% business write-off. The totality of my light bill for the entire year of 2025 for a whole year was like $846 for a solid year. So my CPA got all that information because a percentage of that money that I spent on power bill would be a percentage of that would be a business write-off. Another folder, which is so important, is all of the money I spent in 2025 on professional development. You know, as a licensed clinical addiction expert, I'm credentialed at state level, national level, federal level. So I have to have a certain amount of continuing education hours to renew my professional credential. I also have to carry professional liability insurance to protect my credential. So all of the money I spent in relation to professional development, re-credentialing, when I have to re-credential every 2 years and throughout the year, I have to have continuing education. In addition, I have to pay the application fee for renewal. I have to pay for professional liability insurance. So all of the money I spent on that, I turn all that information in to my CPA, and it is a business write-off. Also, in 2025, I did a lot of traveling between Warren Robins and Hazelhurst, Georgia, because I ended up leaving Warren Robins and relocating to Hazelhurst, Georgia. So during that time back and forth, all of the money I spent living in motels while I was interfacing with stakeholders and getting things set up, all of the money I spent on motel in relation to that, because that ties into that home office, was a business write-off. So all the information I turned over to my CPA in a folder. Also, money I spent at Lowe's in 2025 in relation to setting up my home, aka home office, a percentage of that was a business write-off. So I turned all the information into my CPA into a folder. In 2025, all of the money I spent on internet, because if you're in business, you got to have an internet, especially when you got to interface with stakeholders and for business purposes. So the money I spent in 2025 on internet is a business write-off. What else we got here? Oh, you cannot forget cell phone. Yep. All the money I spent in 2025 on my cell phone. If you're in business, you got to have a cell phone. I turned all the information over to my accountant, and a percentage of that is a business write-off. money I spent on toll. A lot of times when you're traveling across states, you have to sometimes pay a toll. So the money I spent in toll in 2025, which was $30, will also be a business write-off. I turned that over to my CPA. And most importantly, the money I spent to maintain my business website, I turned all the information into a folder, or that will also be a business write-off. The money I spent on to maintain my business website, that website designer, and sometimes I have to bring my website designer in throughout the year to update my business website. So all of the money that I paid him in 2025 is also a business write-off. And talked about that. And also, one of the things I've always do, because a lot of times I purchase items from Amazon that's business related use. So what I would always do, because I can't always remember when I'm looking at my bank statement. So what I do, just make sure I don't miss anything, I go into my Amazon account. And there's an area in your Amazon account where you can go in and print out all of your purchases for the whole year. So what I did with I went into my Amazon account and I just printed out all of my purchases for the whole year of 2025. And I highlighted everything that was business related that I purchased from Amazon. And I put it into a folder and turned all that over to my accountant. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the totality of all of the information that I turned over to my certified public accountant to do my personal and business taxes for 2025. My taxes are done. They're turned in. They ain't got to worry about nothing. And I'm telling you, it is power in doing it this way. And I'm telling you, a lot of people think that, yeah, you pay a little bit more money when you have that CPA to do it, but I'd rather go ahead and pay that little extra money to ensure that my federal taxes are done correctly, my state taxes are done correctly. It don't matter if I'm getting money back or I owe money, but what really matters is that I'm staying on top of my federal and state taxes year after year after year after year. Audits don't concern me in any shape, form, or fashion. If you be on this earth long enough as a taxpayer, you're going to randomly be audited. I welcome any audit because I'm always ready. I got my CPA as a resource, and any information that the federal government may ask me to present, I can immediately go to the applicable year, the applicable folder, and pull it out, people. Real talk. And all of this information here is what protects me as a businesswoman. All of this information for 2025, and I've been doing it this way for over 25 plus years and have the working knowledge to back it up, because I'm telling you, you got a lot of people right now. You got a lot of entrepreneurs. You got a lot of people who are out here making this money on the 1099. Rather it's making money under their own company, rather it's making money under 1099, are in trouble with the taxes, in trouble with federal and state taxes, getting their paycheck garnished, scared to go answer the phone, scared to go to the mailbox. Because I'm telling you, the only way to do this is the correct way. That's all I know. The only way to do this is the correct way. Even if you owe, you can do it you can pay it back on a payment plan. If you're getting a refund, invest that money. But the key thing is, this is about accountability and responsibility. In the long run, it's going to give you peace of mind. It's going to protect your assets. It's going to protect your bank account, because there are people who are getting their salary, their income garnished because they owe Uncle Sam and they be ignoring those notices. This is real talk, people. So again, I just want to give everybody some insight in relation to this very, very powerful topic. And I'm telling you, handling your business. All of this ties into financial freedom. Handling your finances ties into financial freedom. Respecting your money, controlling your money ties into financial freedom. Aligning yourself with a certified public accountant ties into financial freedom. Real talk, people. Real talk. And I'm telling you that as we get closer and closer to April the 15th, you got a lot of folks, because they so accustomed to taking shortcuts, lying, cheating, getting in trouble with Uncle Sam. I'm telling you, there's only one way to do this, and this is the correct way. And I've been doing it this way for well over 25 plus years, and I'm going to continue to do it this way as long as God give me breath. Real talk. So share this information, because somebody really might need to hear this. This is real talk. One thing I can say about my style when I get in front of these cameras, especially when I do my lectures, if you got the awake ear, my lectures are going to provoke your thinking. It's real talk, people. I come in front of these cameras to get down to business. And I appreciate everybody listening in, share this information. And with that being said, simplify, simple fidelis, and I'm going to leave you in the care of your own conscience. Have a great day.